the South African Local Government Association in KwaZulu-Natal says it's not concerned by illiteracy levels among councillors. This is after a skills audit by the Provincial Cooperative Governance Department found that nearly 300 councillors cannot read or write. SALGA in KwaZulu-Natal, the chairperson Tamintuli says formal education is not necessary for councillors to do their job effectively.
What we have been doing with SALGA since the beginning of this term was to capacitate the councillors. They might have not, in fact, had an opportunity at their youngest age, but there are programs wherein we are capacitating the councillors. Reading and writing is an important skill. However, in terms of the practical operations at the local government, what we are saying is that, in fact, we are saying this is not the cause of the concerns that the communities will have.
Let's stay with SALGA, which says the skills audit report does not represent the work done by councillors on the ground.
We don't find it qualifying the capacity to render services to the community. On record, we have councillors who do not possess a formal education, but who are highly connected to the society and who are upfront when it comes to the issues that affect the people they live. I think we believe that a formal education is the only way that enables a councillor to do the work. Maybe there is that dialogue wherein you find councillors not a formal education but doing quite very well, and at times where you have councillors who are having a high level of education.
All right, let's continue this conversation now, and we're joined by Professor André Duvenhage, a research director at the University of the Northwest. Prof, good morning to you, and thank you very much for your time. Before I ask you the question about whether or not formal education is necessary for a councillor, for people who may not understand the role of a councillor or the difference. So in a municipality, it is composed of a councillor who usually would be a politician, and then there is the civil servant. This is now the official who actually works within the municipality. This may be a CFO or the municipal manager. Talk to us about the difference between the two. Make that difference categorically clear.
Morning, Paulie. Yes, I can differentiate it on basis of the role of the councillor is a governance type of role. That is an oversight role combining strategic management and leadership. When it comes to the administrative part, management/administration, it has to do with execution of policies and implementation.
Right.
Now, the argument on table put forward by, amongst others, SALGA, is that in the governance role, you do not need literacy. All you need is a political role connecting the specific community to the system. And I must honestly tell you, I cannot disagree more with that perspective. Just a few remarks on that comment. The first one, in the world, we are now entering what people call artificial intelligence, super intelligence. And to read and to write is a basic entry level in terms of any activity within your community and your society. Second, if you are in a governance role, you need to read reports. You need to write reports. You need to communicate. You need to come up with solutions. You need to have an oversight. And if there's a lack of oversight, then you are getting what we had, and Parliament is responsible in this case for state capture. So I cannot disagree more. We need skills, we need relevant skills, but we also need ethics, we need values, morals, norms, a lot of that.
Yeah.
And at the moment, this is absent. And that is one of the main reasons why about 80% of all municipalities are in a situation where they are experiencing functional challenges tending towards complete dysfunctionality.
Yeah. Prof, you've raised ahead of me because you've touched on all the aspects I need to touch on, but I'm going to do it nonetheless so that you take us through step by step. It may seem a bit unnecessary, but it actually is necessary for some people to hear this. So, if you are a councillor, you are a politician at local government level, SALGA says you don't need an education. How in the world do you provide exactly what you've just said, oversight and strategic guidance to the administrator? Because is that administrator not going to cheat you because they know you know little about their job?
I cannot agree more with your viewpoint. If you are the manager, if you are the responsible person, at least responsible to your community, or then more specifically your constituency, then you need to have the skills to assess your administrative staff, your management, your people responsible for service delivery. And I am prepared to say that the lack of this connection is one of the main reasons why we are experiencing a lack of service delivery. But it also has a component going further, and that is that the politicians are appointing their own cadres without qualifications in administrative positions. Now they are buying loyalty and political support without any effectiveness, efficiency in terms of service delivery, in terms of working for the common good, for the municipality, or whatever structure you are referring to.
Yeah.
But what is happening is that the illiterate politician is now safeguarding him or herself by appointing people that are loyal to them. And the one will cover the other. And at the end of the day, you have a mafia structure that is working against the interest. And that is really not in the interest of the constituency. And that is, to me, one of the core reasons why we are into the situation we are in. Maybe just a general point while we are busy with this.
Yeah.
The problem of local government is but one system of a bigger overall system that is failing us. And now I'm referring to other government structures. I'm referring to ESCOM. I'm referring to our education system, the health system, and so on.
Prof, you've touched on a word, and I'm going to latch on to that word. A mafia style of governance. What you are now triggering is for us to go back memory lane. In 2016 local government elections, there were killings left, right, and center, even in provinces such as the Eastern Cape. And these were people, we were told, who were vying for positions at local government levels. But these were politicians, obviously. So, is this part of what you are referring to when you say this, if left unchecked, will result in a mafia style of governance where the politician is seeking to protect themselves from being shifted in whatever positions they hold?
You started by referring to KZN. And if we look at the statistics, and there are many statistics available, but I remember at one point in time, there was something like about 400 or 500 assassinations or attempted assassinations in KZN alone. And what is interesting is that if you look at the origins of these assassinations, it is in most cases political in nature and in many cases coming from within the ruling elite itself. And in that sense, you can definitely make the connection to a mafia style of politics. What is also very interesting, and that is basically the explanation for this tendency, is that politics has become a short way to the good life. And people would like to have these political positions in order to exercise control over the administration. They have access to a lot of resources, including money, tendering, and all these processes, and this put them in a very, very strong position to get access to the resources available within that particular structure.
Yeah.
That is why the majority of these structures are in trouble when it comes to financial management.
So let's talk about the organization that we listened to before you and I got into this conversation. SALGA, the South African Local Government Association. Remind us what their role is in relation to municipalities.
Well, SALGA's role is an oversight function to assess and assist local governments throughout South Africa to address their challenges and to provide answers for their problems.
Please stop there then.
Clearly,
please stop exactly there. Please stop exactly there, and I'm sorry to cut in, because the reason I want you to make this clear for the viewer is that they are the people that are supposed to provide strategic governance. Now, if they come and say formal education is not necessary for a councillor, can you trust that organization to do what is right by the people?
Only, unfortunately, no.
Okay.
Then the answer is quite simple, that SALGA is not the solution, but has become part of the problem. And this is a very unfortunate situation. It goes against their own constitution or their own set of rules, but it's also against the principles of the Constitution and democratic governance at large.
And so I want to conclude the conversation with this thought then, Professor, because in the article where this story, I think, was first reported, News 24, the Minister of Cooperative Governance, it is understood that she was addressing at some place in the Western Cape, and she suggested that she does support a certain percentage of councillors who should have formal education. I'm sure you're going to say that is a comment that should be encouraged, but it cannot be lost on us, Professor, as to the timing of this statement from the Minister.
Yes, the timing is very interesting, but my concern will be It cannot be a small group of people that are educated. We need to select our leaders that are the real leaders. And in today's world, I cannot see a leader without education. To me, that should be a formal criteria that people should be educated on a certain level before they can get recognition, or if you want to, you can put these people through certain tests and get them on a certain standard. But if you cannot read a document, if you cannot interpret its content, if you cannot evaluate it, assess it, and make proposals, you shouldn't be in that position. And that is a big part of the crisis we are experiencing on local government, and not only local government in South Africa.
Professor André Duvenhage, thank you very much for that explanation. He is a professor at the University of the Northwest.